So the external features of the heart, including its coverings. Okay, the covering of the heart is called as pericardium. So the membranes covering the heart is called as the pericardium. So peri yani around, cardium yani heart. Okay, so it's a unlike that of your the other organs like even the organs of the gastrointestinal system or the what is that the lungs, respiratory system and all, everywhere you find only the single layer of covering, that is the serous layer. But here in the heart you have double wall. So double wall of covering. Almost you can say it is covered by 3 layers of the membranes. Okay, so the outermost covering is the fibrous pericardium, and inner to this fibrous pericardium you have the serous pericardium. Okay, which is bilayered. So almost, totally how many layers? 3 layers. So outer is the fibrous, and then inner to the fibrous you have the serous pericardium, which is having 2 layers. One which closely lines the heart, the other closely lines the fibrous pericardium. So you can say it as the heart as intrafibrous and extraserous. Okay, I will explain that later. Okay, so I said it is a double-walled fluid-filled sac. So in between the 2 layers of the serous pericardium, you have a cavity that is called as pericardial cavity. So pericardial cavity is not between fibrous and serous; it is within the 2 layers of the serous pericardium. Here. So that is called as pericardial cavity, which contains very little amount of fluid, so which acts as, you can say, as a lubricant for the beating heart. So this pericardium, along with the heart, it even covers the proximal part of all the great vessels which are entering the heart or leaving the heart. Am I clear?
Yes.
So this pericardium covers the heart and as well as all the great vessels which are either entering the heart, like the pulmonary veins or the superior and inferior vena cava, and which leave the heart like pulmonary trunk and the aorta. Am I clear?
Yes.
This is the covering of the heart and the proximal part of the great blood vessels by this pericardium. Okay. So before getting into the details of the features, how it exactly covers the heart and all, so let's look into the functions of the pericardium. So what is the function? Why it should be covered by this pericardium? So as I said, especially the fibrous pericardium keeps the heart in position. Where it is heart situated? It is situated in the middle mediastinum. So what is mediastinum and all, we will learn in the further lectures. Okay. So it keeps the heart in position exactly like you will be wearing the seat belt whenever you are sitting in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
So like exactly this pericardium, especially the fibrous pericardium, acts like a seat belt to keep the heart in position. Okay, and even it prevents over expanding, especially whenever there is the volume of the blood increases. Okay, so there also it prevents over expanding of the heart. Okay, so that as it is contained within the fibrous pericardium, it prevents over expanding. Okay, and limits the heart's movements. Okay, and even acts as a shock absorber. So when it's trauma from the front, okay, so it acts as a shock absorber. It absorbs the shock and protecting the heart within it. Okay, so these are the functions of your that is the pericardium. So as already explained, you have 3 layers. So the pericardium is the inner serous and outer fibrous. Within the fibrous you have the serous pericardium. This serous pericardium is having, as I said, 2 layers. The innermost, the visceral layer, which covers closely the heart. Okay, and then the parietal layer, which closely lines the inner surface of your fibrous pericardium. So totally 3 layers.
Okay.
So from inner to outside you have serous, that is the visceral layer of serous pericardium, and then you have the pericardial cavity, and then the parietal layer of serous pericardium, and then fibrous layer of pericardium. Clear? So 3 layers. So this is a picture of the covering of the heart. You can see. So this black line represents the fibrous pericardium.
Okay.
Am I clear?
Yes.
And then red you have 2. Okay. So So this is the parietal layer of the serous pericardium, which will be lining closely with the fibrous. Okay, and this is the inner visceral layer, which closely lines the heart. Now this cavity between the visceral and the parietal layer, this cavity is called as the pericardial cavity, where you have a thin film of fluid. Clear? Yes. So this, even after covering the heart, even they are extending over the blood vessels also. Are you following? These are the blood vessels. So even it extending over the blood vessels, the proximal part, only little part. Okay, or even especially the fibrous layer, it mixes with the adventitia of the blood vessels. Mixes with the adventitia of the blood vessels. So we'll learn that one by one. So first let's begin with the fibrous pericardium. It's a very tough connective tissue. Okay, mainly that's why it is fibrous. Fibrous. Okay, it's a tough connective tissue. And same as the heart, it is conical in shape. Heart is conical in shape. So as it covers the heart, it is also conical in shape. Okay. So now attachments, where it is attached anteriorly, then inferiorly, superiorly, and inferiorly. Okay. So superiorly, it is continuous with, as I explained. Can I get the heart? That is easy. Anyhow, you have the lab. This is the heart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here from the heart you have the beginning of these vessels, right?
Yes.
So this is the pulmonary trunk and this is the aorta and all. Okay. So posteriorly even you have the ending of these pulmonary veins and all. Okay. So then you have the superior vena cava and similarly the inferior vena cava entering into the heart. Okay. So after covering the heart, it superiorly it extends over these vessels. Okay. Superior vena cava, aorta, pulmonary trunk, it extends over them and it mixes almost with the adventitia of the blood vessels, adventitia of the blood vessels. So that is the extension superiorly.
Okay.
Whereas inferiorly, so as you see, inferior, this is the inferior. Where you have, what you have here? What you have here?
Diaphragm.
The diaphragm. You have this diaphragm. So this fibrous pericardium, it is attached to the diaphragm. It is attached to the central tendon of the diaphragm. So this diaphragm having two domes here, on either side, central you have the tendon, central tendon.
Okay.
So this surface of the heart, the inferior surface, is also called as the diaphragmatic surface, because it's a relation with the central tendon of the diaphragm. As it is covering the heart, it mixes with the or attached to the fibrous pericardium. So what is that? The fibrous pericardium is attached to the central tendon of the diaphragm, and even some fibers they mix with the muscular part of the left side of the dome of the diaphragm. Okay, so that is the superior and inferior attachment. Superiorly and then inferiorly. So now anteriorly what you have? You have the sternum. You have the sternum. So anteriorly this fibrous pericardium is attached to the posterior surface of the sternum by two ligaments. By two ligaments. What are they? Superior and inferior sternopericardial ligaments. These are very important ligaments. Very important ligaments, because of which the heart is kept in position. Heart is kept in position, so it will not move from either side. This is the only the attachment that keeps the, you can say, the heart in place. Okay. So that is the anterior attachment of your what is that? The fibrous pericardium by superior and inferior pericardial ligaments. Pericardial ligaments. So now. So from these attachments of the fibrous pericardium to the diaphragm to the sternum and all, so this fibrous pericardium keeps the heart in position. So that's how it acts like a seat belt by its attachments. What attachments? To the sternum by superior and inferior sternopericardial ligaments, and even with the central tendon of the diaphragm. Clear?
Clear.
So now coming to the relations, the same man. So anteriorly what you have? You have the sternum. So regarding the position of the heart is not, you can say, it's totally on the left side of the thoracic cavity. You all know that, okay? So 2/3 of the heart is towards the left side and 1/3 is to the right side. Are you following?
Yeah.
1/3 is to the right side, 2/3 is to the left of the, you can say, midline in the thoracic cavity. Okay? So anterior relation of this fibrous pericardium is the sternum and even the ribs. So even the ribs, that is the costal cartilages. Okay, so everywhere you find, even you have the extension of these lungs also anteriorly. I'll show you the picture so that you will understand. Yeah. So this is the picture of the cut section of the chest or the thorax. Okay, showing you the heart, the lungs.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see the extension of the lungs anteriorly.
Yes.
Okay, anterior to the heart. Anterior to the heart, the lungs also extend. So covered by pleura. Covered by pleura. So everywhere you find the sternum, okay, and even covered by the lungs, and even the anterior margin of the lungs, as well as covered by pleura.
Okay.
Except on the left side, where the left lung forms a notch, like this.
Okay. Yes.
From where to where? Along the fourth and fifth cartilages. What is that? Fourth and fifth. Fourth and fifth rib, between them there is no lung and pleura. So it is directly related to the chest wall. Are you following? Very
Yes,
important. Very important. So everywhere anteriorly, the pericardium, or even the pericardium means inside you have the heart also. It is related to the sternum and the anterior margins of the lungs covered by pleura, except at on the left side, that is left fourth and fifth ribs or the costal cartilages, where it is directly related to the chest wall or the anterior thoracic wall. So why I am telling why this is important clinically means, so in emergencies, so the patient is dying because of the cardiac arrest. Okay, even you do CPR and all, still he is not able to, he is not recovering. So then what you do? You do injections of adrenaline directly into the heart. Directly into the heart you push adrenaline. Okay, so where you have supposed to put, because if you put some up and down, you will puncturing the lungs.
Yes.
To avoid that, you have to go for the fourth and fifth, the intercostal, that is between the fourth and fifth, and then put your needle directly, it will enter into the heart. So that's why this is important clinically, where the heart is directly related to the anterior thoracic wall, where left fourth and fifth costal cartilages, where it is directly related to the anterior thoracic wall. Clear?
Yes.
So now, so that is about the anterior relations. What do you expect posteriorly?
The vertebra.
Yeah, that is the vertebral column.
Yes.
Vertebral column, and between the heart and the vertebral column, what you have? You have the esophagus running, you have the trachea running,
Yes.
trachea dividing into two principal bronchus. All those structures will form the
Between.
posterior relations.
Yes.
Posterior relations. What will be on the lateral side? The mediastinal surfaces of both the lungs covered by the pleura.
Yes.
Covered by the pleura. Am I clear?
Yes.
That is about the relations of the pericardium. So inferiorly, what you have? Inferiorly you have the diaphragm, right? So as I said, the inferiorly the fibrous pericardium is attached to the central tendon of the diaphragm, separating the heart from the abdominal contents like the liver, spleen and all. Okay? That is what I mentioned, the same.
Yeah.
Posteriorly, the bronchus, trachea, the esophagus, the esophageal plexus of nerves and all. So laterally, one more important, over the pericardium, so between the heart and the lungs.
Okay.
Between the heart and the lungs, one nerve runs which goes to the diaphragm. They are the phrenic nerves. Which nerves? Phrenic nerves. Between the pericardium and the mediastinal surface of the pleura of both the sides, right and left, you have the phrenic nerves running which go and supply the diaphragm. Clear?
Yes.
So that is about the relations of the fibrous pericardium. So next, good, you can make out here. See, phrenic nerve.
Phrenic nerve.
See here? Okay.
Okay.
So this diagram is important. Okay, where you can make out the relations of the pericardium. So next go to serous pericardium. It's a thin membrane. It's a thin membrane, not tough like your the fibrous pericardium. Okay. So you can say like as the how should I explain? So the heart is not within the serous pericardium.
Yes.
So just like you have, if you consider this as the fibrous pericardium, it totally the heart is inside the fibrous pericardium, but it mixes with the, because it mixes with the vessels and all,
Yes.
inferiorly with the diaphragm and all.
Yes.
Whereas serous pericardium, if you observe, the heart is outside the serous pericardium. How can I explain? You have a balloon.
Yes.
You have a balloon. Okay. So when you push your hand into the balloon, what happens? It appears as if like the hand is totally covered by balloon, inside the balloon, but exactly speaking it is not inside the balloon.
Yes.
So when you push your hand into the balloon, the blowed balloon, okay, so one layer of will be covering the your hand and the other layer will be outside.
Yes.
Outside, okay.
Yes.
So now between the two layers you have the air. So here you have the fluid, little fluid.
Okay.
Clear?
Clear.
So exactly like that. So that means what? Your hand is outside the balloon, but still it is totally covered by the balloon. Are you following?
Yes,
It's
yes.
exactly like that. The serous pericardium. So that means what? The inner layer and outer layer, they are continuous.
Okay.
Inner
Yes,
layer
yes, yes.
is continuous
Yes.
with the outer layer.
Outer layer.
So I show you the picture. Can you see it here?
Yes.
Inner layer is continuous with the outer layer.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
The heart is entering like this.
Okay.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. So whereas fibrous pericardium is totally, the heart is inside the fibrous pericardium
Yes.
because it mixes with the vessels and all, the surrounding structures.
Yes.
Okay? It is only single layer. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. So it is double walled. So one layer which closely lines the your hand or the heart is the visceral layer of the pericardium, and which one closely lines the inner side of fibrous pericardium is the parietal layer of the serous pericardium. So totally you have two layers of the serous pericardium, visceral layer and then the parietal layer. Visceral layer is in
And the close.
continuity with the parietal layer, or you can say that visceral layer is reflected as the parietal layer. Are you following?
Yes.
After covering the heart, it then reflects and lines the inner side of the fibrous pericardium as the parietal layer of the serous pericardium. So visceral layer and the parietal layer of the serous pericardium are continuous each other. Okay. So now the cavity between the visceral layer and the parietal layer is called as the pericardial cavity. Pericardial cavity. So pericardial cavity is between the visceral and parietal layer of serous pericardium, not between serous and parietal.
Yes.
Sorry, serous and
Within the
fibrous.
serous.
Within the serous. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So one more point about the serous pericardium, because it forms sinuses. So that you will learn when you go to the labs class. It will show you what is a sinus and all. So to understand that, you must know the development of the heart. Then you will understand. Just give me this paper. So the heart, what you see here, you have two chambers here and two chambers down, atria and ventricles. Developmentally, the heart develops as a single tube like this. So heart is straight like this. You have two atria. So four chambers in line, in longitudinally arranged.
Okay.
Four chambers. Two atria and two ventricles like that. Okay. So now you have one end is called as the arterial end, and the one end is called as the venous end.
Venus. Okay.
So arterial end like pulmonary trunk and aorta. Okay. Venous end like pulmonary veins and then superior and inferior vena cava like that. Okay. So venous end having pulmonary veins
Vena cava.
and then the vena cavas. Okay. Arterial end, aorta and pulmonary trunk. It is straight tube like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So during development, what happens? This tube, is it covered? It is covered by the pericardium,
Yes.
the serous pericardium. You have all the two layers of the pericardium. Okay. So actually, the pericardial cavity is like a balloon here.
Yeah.
Pericardium. Okay. So now this developing heart protrudes into the balloon like this.
Okay.
Are you following?
Yes.
So then, so that this tube is covered by the balloon. So exactly like my hand going into the balloon, the developing heart goes into the balloon. The balloon formed by the pericardium.
Yes.
Okay. So now this tube. So one is the arterial end, one is the venous end. So now this heart tube it goes for folding. It goes for folding. This is the development of the heart.
Yes.
So now slightly, it's not exactly bent like this. Slightly one comes anterior and one little goes posterior.
Okay.
So if you look at this, so the two chambers, the atrias and ventricles are not in straight line like this. So slightly twisted.
Yes.
So that right ventricle is more on the anterior side, left ventricle is more on the posterior side.
Yes.
Are you following?
Yes.
Right atria is more on the anterior side, left atria is more on the posterior side.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Slightly twisted
Yes.
and even bent. Okay, so that one will go up and one will go down,
Down.
behind
Yeah.
like this.
Yes.
Am I clear?
Yes.
So now this is the development of the heart. So similarly, the pericardium which is covering, so as it is going for bending like this. So now the pericardium is like two tubes.
Yes.
Okay.
So before it was only one tube.
Yes.
Okay, now you have two tubes.
Two tubes.
So one tube of the pericardium covering the arterial end. Did you understand or not?
Yes.
So the other tube of the pericardium covering the venous end. So that means the pericardium covering the arterial end where you have the pulmonary trunk and aorta, and the venous end covering the superior and inferior vena cava and then the pulmonary veins. So now two tubes of the pericardium. So now the gap between them. So this is called as
The gap. Yeah.
the transverse sinus of the pericardium. Transverse sinus of the pericardium. Transverse sinus of the pericardium. Okay. So now you have venous end. Within the venous end, you have superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and these four pulmonary veins. Are you following?
Yes.
This is one, and this is one. So now between the arterial end and venous end, you have this sinus. This is called as the transverse sinus. Exactly, it goes behind here like this. See here, this is the aorta and this is the pulmonary trunk, right? So behind this, so in the real model of the heart, you can make out. If you pass a probe, it will pass
Okay.
behind these vessels.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So whereas the venous end, the veins during the development because of the folding and all, so these veins they come to arrange in the form of the English letter J.
Yes.
Are you following?
Yeah.
English letter J.
Yeah.
Okay. So now between the heart and these veins, so like this, if you pass your finger between the pericardium, after cutting the fibrous pericardium, I am telling you,
Yeah.
not within the fibrous pericardium it is. Okay. If you pass your finger, it will go behind the heart like this. Behind the heart here. So here you have the pulmonary veins, right?
Yes.
So this is the inferior vena cava and this is the superior vena cava. Superior vena cava and this is the inferior vena cava. These are the pulmonary veins. If you pass your finger, it will go here. There is a gap. So that is called as the oblique sinus. Oblique sinus. You got now? The pericardial sinuses. How many sinuses are there?
Two.
What are they?
Oblique and transverse.
Oblique and
Transverse.
transverse sinus. How they are formed? During the development because of the folding of the heart tube. Heart tube. Okay. So you find two sinuses. One is the transverse sinus between the arterial and venous end of the heart. So the arterial end is found by the aorta and the pulmonary trunk. Okay. Whereas the venous end you have the 6 veins, pulmonary veins and superior and inferior vena. So the veins are arranged in the form of J, English letter J, so that there is a gap between the heart and this the pericardium. So that is called as the oblique sinus. Clear? So that's how you have two sinuses formed, that is the oblique sinus and then the transverse sinus. So this, especially the transverse sinus, is having again clinical significance. So they say that during the cardiac surgeries, if you want to block these vessels, the pulmonary trunk and the aorta, so they pass a thread in this transverse sinus and help to not tie them. Okay, that's how it is important. So this is about the two sinuses of the pericardium. Am I clear about this sinuses?
Yes.
How is it formed? Because of the folding. So the heart develops in the single tube, longitudinal tube, having arterial end and then the venous end. So because of the folding, so it forms two tubes. So now, so this is one more picture showing you clearly the three layers of the pericardium. Outermost is the fibrous, see it is mixing with the surrounding structures.
Yeah, right.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Whereas this is the visceral pericardium, it covers the heart and then reflects back as the parietal layer.
Yes.
Okay? So now the space between the parietal and the visceral, this is what is the pericardial cavity.
Yes.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Yes. So now coming to its blood supply and the nerve supply. So nerve supply, it is innervated by whatever the nerves are surrounding. Mainly the vagus nerve and the phrenic nerve supplies the pericardium, both fibrous as well as this. And then the arteries, mainly they are from the vessels which are there running in the intercostal spaces, as well as the internal thoracic artery, the musculophrenic artery, and direct branches from the descending thoracic aorta. Okay, venous drainage is to the azygous venous system. Okay. So now some of the clinical aspects of this pericardium, especially implications are more on the your pericardial cavity. So just like your the pleural effusion, okay, where there is collection of fluid within the pleural cavity. So here maybe excess collection whenever there is inflammation of the pericardium.
Yes.
What is that called as pericarditis? So there will be exudate, which collects within this pericardial cavity. Pericardial cavity. If the amount is small, it doesn't affect much of the heart functioning. Okay, but when the quantity increases, so it may have pressure on the heart, right? So it will impact the beating of the heart. So if the amount is too much, when it is obstructing the beating of the heart, then condition is called as cardiac tamponade.
Okay.
What is cardiac tamponade? For example, whenever there is direct road traffic accidents,
Yes.
the steering hits,
Yes.
the steering hits the chest wall. So then there will be bleeding inside. So then there may be collection of the blood within the what is that? Within the pericardial cavity, which is preventing the heart functioning.
Yeah.
Okay. So that fluid has to be drained immediately. Otherwise, he will die. Okay. So that condition is called as cardiac tamponade, when it obstructs the beating of the heart. If the amount is small, it is called as pericardial effusion. Pericardial effusion.
Okay.
So causes are, what is the causes for this pericarditis? It may be
Inflammation.
by the inflammation, maybe from the injury or the trauma or the infections.
Yes.
Maybe viral infections, bacterial infections, any infections, or even from the for example, in case of rheumatoid arthritis, rheumatoid
Yes.
heart disease, so
Yes.
it even affects the pericardium, then causing pericardial effusion. So like that. So that is about the pericarditis giving rise to pericardial effusion. Okay. So you want to drain the effusion. So again the same point. I explained you where it is directly related to the chest wall, fourth and fifth, the left fourth and fifth. Between that only you have to inject and then take out the fluid. So this is the condition. So you can see where the fluid is more, it is pressing on the heart, preventing its beating. This is the X-ray. Okay, showing you the large heart. Okay. That is due to the effusion. So why effusion? Made because of the pericarditis from the viral, bacterial, or any cause. Okay. So now, before getting into the features of the external features of the heart, so any muscle attachments need some. For example, all the muscles in the body, they are attached to bones.
Yeah.
So the heart doesn't have any bones. Heart doesn't have any bone, right? So you have the big muscle. What is the